Hello my darlings, welcome back or welcome to Marion K Tarot. This week is a week ahead reading for the 10th to the 16th of November. So I hope you're doing well. We are going to be using the Dragon Tarot this week because, to be honest with you guys, ladies, gentlemen, whomever is watching this, I'm tired. I'm really bone achingly tired this week, emotionally, physically, spiritually drained. I'm just so tired, but so that's why I'm using Dragon Tarot. If you're new here and you don't know my special relationship with this deck, this actual deck, it was my first ever proper tarot deck, way back in the 1990s, and I turn to this deck when I just need some comfort. When I need to do a reading that, and for all intents and purposes, I'm really too tired to do, but I am showing up for you because you show up for me week in, week out. So I am here for it. So let's see what have we got in store for this week. What else is going on? Right, okay, so as I'm filming this, I'm actually filming this on Sunday, so you'll see this probably as soon as I upload it. Mercury has just went retrograde. Happy days. In Sagittarius. So it'll be retrograde until the 29th or 30th of November. Around the 18th it will retrograde back into Scorpio. So any spicy conversations, any challenging conversations, any conversations that make us look at our shadow, we will be reassessing these things. We'll also be having a look at people in our lives, the conversations that we have with people in our lives, the conversations that other people have about us. All of those things, how we communicate, whether we communicate verbally, whether it is electronically. Always remember, Mercury, keep on top of the electronics, batting everything up, but double, triple checking contracts if you have to sign them during this time. Just get them checked. So please do so. Right, let's see what we got. What have we got? Let's come in towards the collective. What do we need to be aware of this week? What can we look forward to this week? Let's see. Okay. Oh, don't you just love it when tarot slaps you in the face? Okay, at the bottom of the deck we have got the Queen of Wands. Okay, so Queen of Wands showing up in that fire energy. Okay, there are several ways to look at this, right? The Queen of Wands is incredibly ferocious. She is the witch's queen, but she's also shown up at the bottom of this deck and it feels like, to remind me, maybe remind us who we actually are. If you are allowing other people to get to you, the opinions of others, the comments of others, maybe somebody's left a bit of an unkind comment on something in your social media, etc. And maybe, because keyboard warriors, it's like, oh yeah, they're really brave until you actually say to them in real life, what's your problem? No, we don't always get the chance to do that, right? And I don't recommend it, but I'm Scottish. It's a cultural thing, clearly. But yeah, so the Queen of Wands, I feel like she's shown up this week just to remind us who we are. That the power that we have got comes from within, that our own personal fire cannot be diminished. Other people cannot diminish our own personal fire. Only we can diminish that by allowing the actions of others to affect our lives personally, and we don't do that here. Right? If you watch this channel, you don't do that. Right, so in case you need a wee reminder, here it's here. Okay, so the cards proper this week. And I started off saying that I was tired. So tired. Okay, we have got the Four of Swords showing up. What did I say about this camera? I can get some of this glare away. Okay, so we have got the Four of Swords. Such a sweet card. We have got the Knight of Wands. Hey, hey. And we have got the Two of Swords. Okay. It makes absolute sense to me, the fact that we are speaking about swords this week. You know, in actual fact, it's two swords of Libra. There's two cards of Libra even. So if you're dealing with a Libra in your life, then maybe check in on them. Maybe checking the conversations you've been having with Libras, or the conversations they've been having about you. I actually triggered a Libra last week. It was quite amusing. So it was a Libra of the gentleman variety. It was quite amusing. I was in a very muggle situation. It was a very angry Libra. Very angry. Yes. It was amusing to me. Anyway, I digress. So the Four of Swords, you know, it is that card that shows up when we do need to rest, when we do need to take a break. Did this not show up last week as well? For the reading for last week, I seem to remember it showing up previously. And me having this conversation, like, about the fact that, you know, it keeps showing up. So is there somebody watching this? It could be me. Is there somebody watching this? Oh, excuse me, I told you I'm tired. That really needs to rest, that really needs to put themselves first, put their thoughts, their needs first. It can also represent, for me, it represents personally a card where it acknowledges the passing of people, because you've got that kind of a narrative where it's rest in peace. Okay, so if you're dealing with something, if you're dealing with some kind of loss, if you're dealing with some kind of anniversary over this week or so, take that as an acknowledgement of it. The Knight of Wands showing up here is interesting, because it's like this kind of a, like, it's almost like this polar opposite, you know. It's like, on the one hand you've got a Four of Swords telling you to slow down, take a rest, but then you've got this Knight of Wands who is coming barreling in right into the centre of the reading, you know, with the sun shining and the sun burning, you know, and it's like, right, okay, let's go. You know, it's like, stoke that fire. He's like that dragon, he's stoking the flames of the fire, you know. In the background we've got volcanoes. What is happening? Right, okay, so the volcanoes that are going on here, Uranus retrograded back into Taurus this week. In fact, yesterday, the 8th. Things that need to be finished up over the last, if there's things been going on with you since 2018, this is the final push of Uranus being in Taurus, right? Uranus is the agitator. Uranus is chaos, basically. And coming into Taurus, it's like, Taurus just does not like chaos, you know, freaks out with chaos. But this Knight of Wands is very much saying, right, what... Oh, I'm so sorry. And I don't edit, so you're keeping my yawns in. I'm sorry. So what happens is, you know, the Knight of Wands is just up here saying, right, let's go. Uranus back in Taurus is disrupting everything. Have you get too complacent over the last few months? You know, have you decided that with Uranus transiting Taurus since 2018, there's been so many changes for people? Some of us just don't even recognise ourselves anymore, you know, and the person we've become. So do we need a reminder of that? Do we need a reminder of who we actually are now? You know, where we maybe, you know, trying to fade into old habits, etc. But now it's like, no, we're not allowed to fade into, you know, like the kind of status quo. You know, we need to keep searching for what's going on. And then finishing up here, we've got the Two of Swords. The Two of Swords is just that indecision, you know, that mental indecision, that lack of mental clarity. But what I love about this card is, you know, it's when I said earlier, you know, about these cards being cards of Libra, you know, this dragon here, it's holding scales, it's holding the scales of justice. So what it feels like to me is, over the course of this coming week, if there is something that you have been waiting on, that you have been seeking justice on, then it could very well be that, so this is going to be quite specific for some people, okay? And not everybody watching this is going to necessarily understand this, but what it feels like to me, what it feels like is you have maybe been on some kind of crusade for justice for something, right? Maybe you're a social warrior. Maybe you know, that's your kind of a thing in life. You know, you want to be like a warrior for justice or social justice, you know, something like that. And you're very particular about the conversations you have with people and the things that you say, or how you go about like getting your message out there. So what I would suggest to you is, this week there is either going to be, you have to make a choice this week, okay? So do you carry on basically flogging a dead horse, or do you look at things in a different way? Remember, we've got Mercury retrograde, so it's very much that reassessment, all the words, so all the words that begin with R-E, right? So reevaluate, reassess, recalibrate, you know, rest. Is there just a cause or something that you're tired trying to go over the same narrative over and over again, and it doesn't seem to be working, right? So this week, take the time to rest and reevaluate your position, okay? Maybe it's like, well, I've done the best that I can do, and if somebody isn't prepared to listen to me, then that's up to them. You know, that's their choice. So I hope that makes sense to the persons who were needing to hear that. Like I say, I'm sorry that I am just a bit bleh. I'm a bit flat this week, but life has been challenging, so it has. So we will pull a card from the Grief Journey Oracle, which on Friday was its first birthday for the date that we launched the Kickstarter, which means it was also, would have been my sister's birthday. It also meant that yesterday was my dad's 5th anniversary passing. So things have been a wee bit tough. Right, okay, let's see what we got. Okay. We have got freedom. Okay, we have got freedom. We have got Clive. If anybody doesn't know, I affectionately call the lion Clive because he told me that was his name. Long story. We've got freedom this week. We have got freedom. We offer ourselves freedom of thought, of process. We offer ourselves freedom in what we choose to do with our lives. We have freedom in the decisions that we make, and we have freedom that we are no longer bound in shackles of other people's opinions, that we are true to ourselves, that we understand that sometimes life isn't all sunshine and unicorns as much as we want it to be. But if you can walk through that shadow, if you can walk through that challenging time, then the other side of that is freedom. Okay, my loves? So, thank you very much if you've stayed to the end. I appreciate you. I love and adore you all. You're so appreciated, showing up every week, watching the videos. It means so much to me. Okay, so my loves, take care, and I will see you next week. Okay.